Anyway, I can make it through to you.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of People of Middlebury. My name is Hiruy Ephrem and today's guest we have Yuki Takeda'. Thank you so much for coming to our show, Yuki. Thank you so much, really appreciate it. And so Yuki, I know you're an avid musician around here and you've also been involved in a lot of performances around here, whether it comes to theater and as well as like just musical performances and other things as well. But of course, first things first, we have to start with generics.
Okay.
Where are you from?
I'm from Tokyo, Japan, and I grew up there most of my life. And then I've lived in several other places like Canada, Holland, and Mexico, but for short periods of time. And yeah, the first time I came to the States was when I got into college.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Speaking of which, how did you hear of Middlebury, like all the way from Japan?
So actually, I applied for a scholarship in Japan that was aimed for Japanese high school students who want to go to liberal arts colleges in the States. So that was really specific. And I had no idea what liberal arts colleges were. But I just looked at the rankings and like applied to all the top schools, and Middlebury took me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to Middlebury.
Good, that works out. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
And yeah, so I know, like I said earlier, you're a very avid musician. From as long as I've known you, you've been really into music. And tell me, like, how did that start?
Well, I don't really know when exactly or how exactly it started out, but I think that I played the piano for 6 years when I was little, but I quit already. And when I first found a joy of music was when I got into high school and joined the jazz group. I started playing the saxophone. And then the second year of high school, I went to Mexico to do study abroad. And I played with some local musician groups, and I learned, or I got to know how would I call it, the pleasure of performing in front of people and improvising and like feeling the groove and playing with other people. And that was my first solid music performance experience. And then after I came back, I started getting into more other music stuff, and I became interested in different music styles, Latin, African, and jazz, of course. Recently, I'm doing more classical music.
I see.
Yeah.
What attracts you to classical music?
So I think it's more of the technicality, and I never used to actually appreciate classical music until recently, but now I understand what's good about it. I can't really explain it in words, but after going through all those non-classical music, I feel like now I understand the value of it.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of skill involved with classical music.
Yeah, and it actually sounds great, and a different sort of expression that it requires. So, and I wanted to train myself in that. So my motivation for doing different music styles is just not just that I like doing them, but also that I want more and more in my musical vocabulary. So I keep looking for new stuff, something that I don't know how to do, and challenge and make it my own thing.
That's really cool. And another thing I just thought about, when you said you also got into African music as well.
Yeah.
I know Africa has been a really big part of your life as well. And like, how does Africa fit in to your life?
So this also comes from my experience in Mexico, but Mexico was the first country I've ever visited that was not a developed country. And then I became interested in the developing world, and I don't know, that just related to some sort of longing for a totally different world that I never knew about. And when I came here for college, I already knew that I wanted to go to Africa for study abroad.
That's so cool, yeah. And I hear from all of my African friends that your room is like more African than all of theirs. So much cool stuff in there.
Well, that's actually more of a touristy thing. Like if you're from somewhere, you don't necessarily bring home traditions to somewhere else. But
Right,
if
'cause-
you go there as a tourist or a foreigner, you tend to collect the local stuff because it's, you know, your souvenir and like, you know.
Memories and whatnot. Yeah,
right.
that's really cool. Whistling.
Yes.
That's a lot of people know you for your whistling, and of course, I feel like you're known worldwide for your whistling as well. How did you start whistling?
So basically, I was bored and had nothing to do. Yeah, and this was when my family went to Holland when I was 14.
Yeah.
So
You
we
started when you were 14.
Yeah, I knew how to whistle when I was
Right.
10, but I started practicing seriously when I was 14. And
Okay.
that was when my family moved to Holland. It was my mom's sabbatical. She's a professor. And we got there in April. Because in Japan, the school calendar starts in April.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So we got there and we couldn't find a school that would accept me for like 2 months. So I stayed home.
And school starts in September in Holland.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like
like it was towards the end of the year and like no school wanted me because, you know,
No love.
whatever. So basically I was home
Yeah.
stealing Wi-Fi from next door and like doing nothing for 2 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, so one day, you know, I was using Google with the stolen Wi-Fi and like typed in whistling, and that's how it started.
Oh wow.
For no reason. Yeah.
I know earlier this year you went to a conference. Can you tell us a little about that? And
Yeah, it's called the International Whistlers Convention, and this year, 2014, it was the 41st. So it has a long history.
international. Okay.
Yeah, and participants from 10 different countries entered the competition. Those who actually got to the final stage were only from 3 countries, but 20 people from 3 different countries, and we all competed in Kanagawa, Japan. There's classical category and popular category, which is basically non-classical category. And then you have to compete in both in order to aim for the title of Grand Championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you end up doing?
I won 2nd place overall.
Wow.
Which is
So cool.
the best score so far. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really, really cool. You have no idea. It's like international whistle competition, and you got 2nd place, and you're here among us. That's so cool. And I know you have a recital coming up
Yes.
in a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So this Monday, April 28th. So I've been working on an independent project with the music department. Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not a music major. I'm an African studies major. But I wanted to whistle in the concert hall since the beginning of 1st year. And I was like, okay, this semester I'm graduating, I gotta do something. And then a friend told me about, you know, this independent project thing. So I was like, okay, if I can perform in whistling and get a credit, then why not?
Okay.
Yeah. So I started that. I had to look for a pianist. I initially wanted to have a professional pianist, but all of them associated with Middlebury College were already busy for the semester. So I had to find a student. And Shannia Fu, a freshman from California, she offered to do it. So we're working on it together.
I heard she's really good too.
Yeah, she's an amazing pianist. So we're doing classical music from the early 20th century. Most of the composers are French. Pieces written for flute, violin, and oboe for like an hour or so.
An hour of whistling.
Yes.
That is so amazing. I'm so excited. So you said it's going to be Monday, April 20th. What time?
8 p.m. in the CFA concert hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So excited. You heard here, guys. Monday, April 28th, 8 p.m. at the CFA concert hall.
Yep.
And you'll see Yuki and Shannia just jam it out, whistling for a whole hour. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for coming to our show. Really appreciate it.
I can make it through to you.